So Kirsten Jellobrand, Jellobrand, whatever you want to call her, just started her Fox News, or just had her Fox News town hall. I believe it was yesterday. And it was embarrassingly boring. It was a total snooze fest. When I said Pete Buttigieg's town hall was a snooze fest, honestly, I set the bar too high for that. Okay? This was a snooze fest. This was a total snooze fest. I only managed to pull one clip out of this that was even remotely worth mentioning. And it makes sense. Like, you look at these town halls for her. For other candidates, it may get close to 100,000 views over the course of all 4 parts or whatever. This one, all 4 parts, when I was watching it, had less than 20,000 views. And the like to dislike ratio was like a 20-1 or like 15-1 dislikes to likes. And it's honestly no wonder her poll numbers have gone from about 2% to, I think, like the last poll had her at like 0.7, 0.6. I mean, god damn, dude. You are totally flailing in the wind and irrelevant. And I don't feel too bad about it because my take on her is that she's not a very interesting candidate. I don't believe that she's a progressive. I think that she's very corporate. When you look at her donor list, it is very similar to Pete Buttigieg and Seth Moulton. It's a lot of legal firms. It's a lot of financial donors, financial industry, securities investments. She's got some pharma in there, about $80,000 from Pfizer recently. So, yeah, really, really, really bad donors. And she does have some progressive messaging, right? Like, she's taken last night she pretty much opened the town hall by slamming money in politics, which is good. That's what you like to hear, but I don't believe it because you already took like $2 million fucking dollars from these various interests. Or maybe it was 3 or 4 million. I don't know. It was a lot of money though. Let's dive into the only clip I managed to rip from this town hall of any interest. It's on her foreign policy. She gives a lot of cliches and just obnoxious word salad. So let's check that out.
My question is, what is your attitude towards American intervention in response to humanitarian crises and human rights abuses in other parts of the world?
So I believe, thank you, Jack, for your question, very smart. I believe the American people deserve a president who's brave. I believe we deserve a president who will do the right things for the right reasons. And this country has always stood as a beacon of light and hope for the world. We've always led the world. We've led the world on humanitarian disasters, on setting the stage for democracy, on doing the right thing, standing by our allies. President Trump has retreated from the world stage in every respect. He retreated from global climate change, refusing to participate in the Paris Accords. He's stepped away from our role in ending suffering, not standing up to the Saudis over Yemen, not standing up to the Saudis over Khashoggi's murder, unwilling to stand with our allies, with NATO, and refusing to lead. So as President of the United States, I will restore our moral integrity and our moral standing on the world stage on the first day.
Okay, first of all, it was easy to notice, and if you go to the town hall and watch any of the clips, you will notice this. It is pretty glaringly apparent. The crowd's not really digging her. You know, they kind of ate up Pete Buttigieg. That sounded funny. But they're not really digging her. You look at any of the clips in there, and the people behind her, with the exception of like one woman who's just like, I agree with her. Everybody else is just blank face. Like, is something gonna happen? Is she gonna say something relevant? She almost never got an actual applause. I mean, that sounded like a pity applause, that last one. It was not enthusiastic, and that's pretty much the entire town hall. So let's kind of break down what she says here. This is one of the worst answers I've seen this political season, this electoral season. It was, I mean, it didn't tell me hardly anything about her policy intentions when it comes to foreign policy. And B, she didn't say anything, right? In general, she didn't say anything. It was colossal word salad. The American people deserve a president who's brave, who does the right thing for the right reasons. What does that mean? What does that mean? That doesn't tell me anything about, you know, are you in favor of Iraq? Or are you against it? Are you in favor of intervention in Syria, or are you against it? Are you in favor of Libya, Afghanistan? Are you against it? Would you go into Iran? Would you continue this bullshit in Iran? Probably not. Most of the Dems are getting against that one because it's politically expedient in the moment. How about, Venezuela? Would you get involved there? I want to know that you are a staunch non-interventionist, that you're not going to waste our fucking money in other countries doing shit they don't want you to do. And nothing in this answer gave me that confidence at all. This country has always stood as a beacon of light and hope in the world. We've always led the world. I can't even tell you. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that from a Democrat or a Republican, I would be the richest man in the world. Certainly the richest man on YouTube. Laugh out loud. What the F are you talking about? The fuck are you talking about? A beacon of light and hope? We've always led the world? Led the world in what? In obesity? In the percentage of the population we lock up? In criminalizing drugs? In exporting war? Weapon sales? In nuclear proliferation? I mean, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Man, shut up. We've led the world on humanitarian disasters, on setting the stage for democracy, on doing the right thing. Maybe led the world in creating unnecessary humanitarian disasters that wouldn't have happened if we didn't get involved. I mean, like, my fucking God, dude. They just don't learn. How in the fuck did we set the stage for democracy? We've tampered with more elections. Our country, our CIA, our intelligence agencies have tampered with more elections than the DNC has, okay? We've overthrown more democratically elected governments than any country on planet Earth that I can think of. Feel free to fucking fact check me on that, but that is laughable, dude. I can't believe that you said that with a straight face on air. And then, the constant blaming President Trump. That's basically all you need to know about this town hall. That sums it up is Trump bad, everything I want to do good. She mentioned Donald Trump in there probably 30, 40 times, 25 minimum, right? And it just comes off as so needlessly partisan. Bernie, he takes jabs at Trump, right? But they're tasteful and they're on policy. And, she does a little bit of that. But just about every question she had to bring up how Trump is doing it wrong. Newsflash, you're in the primary, okay? You're running against other Democrats. You haven't even got to the general yet. And honestly, LMAO that you think that you can go up against President Trump. He will ragdoll you, just like Pete Buttigieg. He will totally obliterate you. Do you have any idea how ruthless this man is? You got to come with a lot more fucking heat than that, dude. When you critique him, you better also be critiquing other Democrats because this is the primary. You need to be setting yourself apart from people like Biden. How are your policies different from him? Because he is clearly the establishment frontrunner. Bernie is the anti-establishment frontrunner. So how are you going to show that you are either A, more progressive than Bernie, B, a better establishment candidate than Biden or whatever? You have to set yourself apart from these other characters before you have any chance of going against the effing president of the United States who has the bully pulpit. You totally flailed in this town hall. This was a horrible town hall. And that answer basically, it encapsulates everything that you would get to see in that town hall. It's totally irrelevant, totally not worth watching. She's flailing in the wind. That's the best way to put it. Even the two cogent points she made against Trump's inability to face Saudi Arabia at the end there, it was mired in obnoxiously partisan rhetoric, and it was totally lost on the broader point that she was making, that America is like a beacon of hope and democracy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also, you do know what audience you're talking to, right? I mean, dunking on Trump every 3 seconds is not going to play well with that crowd. Don't you get that? Don't you get that? Well, that's Kirsten Jellobrand in a nutshell, a corrupt candidate who has taken a shitload of money from the worst interests. She's flailing in the wind. She's boring. She's a terrible speaker. I mean, fuck her, honestly. I'm done with her. I couldn't rip any other segments from that entire town hall because it was just so effing boring.